I also, okay, great. That's what I was waiting on. Also, I want you to share with us how long you've been active with the SMA. I want to see how long y'all been rocking with us. So show us real quick. Share in the chat your reactions. If you're a newly activated SMA member, 2 years or less, give us the wild face up. If you've been engaged 3 to 5 years, give us a thumbs up. If you a vet, shout out to them vets out there. I'm a vet. Let's get the heart, because heart and soul. And then if you OG status, 8 to 10 years, we want to see the confetti. We want to see your celebration emoji. So we're grateful to have so many committed to fighting alongside us to protect and defend our people, to build new social economies, and to practice people's democracy. One of our principles of unity that guides and grounds us is staying rooted in our history. And as we embark on the road to SMA 10, we have to commemorate this milestone in our movement and pay proper respects to those who have picked up the torch before us, the ones that have paved the way, the struggles, the victories that forged the bonds along the way. So what we're gonna do is some somatic grounding. We wanna do some 10-year visioning. I want you to imagine what you were doing 10 years ago. Where were you? What were you doing? And what did your people need? You can take some time to do that. Put it in the chat. Today's call is just one part of our collective journey, looking back over the past decade to honor and celebrate our accomplishments, our leadership, the struggles, everything that we overcame, the people and events that have shaped and defined the modern day Southern Freedom Movement. So we're gonna kick off this journey with a short video that highlights the budding beginnings of the Southern Movement Assembly. And with that, pass the tip.
I asked the question, do you know why you are here?
Yes!
Somebody say Southern Movement Assembly.
Southern Movement
Southern Movement Assembly.
Southern Movement Assembly.
And that's why we are here.
Voting is a legacy, making a priority.
We all count, we will not be erased.
After the election, Michael was to be began.
We all count, we will not be erased.
Across the country square, Troop our movement is not dead.
We all count, we will not be erased.
Black and white and Mexican, united we will make our stand.
We all count, we will not be erased.
Today, Pearl showed us.
We all count, we will not be erased.
All over Georgia,
We all count, we will not be erased.
down in Alabama,
We all count, we will not be erased.
North Carolina,
We all count, we will not be erased.
Tennessee is white and ready.
We all count, we will not be erased.
Down in Texas,
We all count, we will not be erased.
Texas sharp.
We all count, we will not be erased.
Arkansas is off the call.
We all count, we will not be erased.
South Carolina,
We all count, we will not be erased.
and so is Delaware.
We all count, we will not be erased. We all count, we will not be erased. We all count, we will not be erased.
We got the Texas.
We all count, we will not be erased.
You only have to look to the left of there to see our inspiration. It's together right there.
Awesome. Let's see. Thanks y'all for sharing that. Video is old school, 10 years ago, coming in live from Lowndes County there. And my name is Stephanie Gilliu. I'm with Project South, based in Atlanta, Georgia, land of the Muskogee, and y'all is my favorite pronoun. And we called this meeting tonight Formed by Fire, our collective history in the Southern Freedom Movement. And I'm proud to be part of Project South, one of the founding anchors of the Southern Movement Assembly, and been moving with folks in this direction really since Katrina and the Gulf Coast crisis. So that was the fire that really forged a lot of my generation and folks in the South, and led to the Southern Movement Assembly's origin. So 10 years ago, the first SMA convened in Lowndes County as a culmination of the We All Count campaign to resist voter suppression during Obama's first term. We launched the People's First 100 Days the day after he was elected to a second term to show coordinated Southern-wide force and share our community's demands and dreams. We marched for 122 miles through Florida after George Zimmerman was acquitted for Trayvon Martin's murder in 2013 during the Walk for Dignity. We connected with our people all over the South during the Unite to Fight tour in 2014. We convened in Congo Square in 2015 to commemorate the front line still recovering a decade after Katrina and the Gulf Coast crisis. We produced the Southern Movement Blueprint 1 month before Trump was elected in 2016. We learned from each other in the Lumbee territory of North Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Southeast Louisiana, Greenville, Mississippi, and Puerto Rico during the Southern People's Power Tour of 2018. Through the work of the Southern Movement Assembly over the last 10 years, we've trained up scores of people at annual organizing intensive. We've engaged hundreds of organizations to convene at 9 regional Southern Movement Assemblies, coming up on our 10th year. And we've produced multiple action plans, coordinated initiatives, shared principles of unity, and we've supported dozens of people's movement assemblies on front lines across the South and in all communities affected by injustice. It takes time to build, grow, and practice new forms of movement governance, and we're rooted in the histories of the Southern Freedom Movement and the Black radical traditions of the U.S. South. And we're imagining what our Southern Freedom Movement in the 21st century requires from us. We're building that world that we desire. And we're looking to you all tonight to tell us your stories of movement building and your connections to the Southern Movement Assembly and other movements that we've been moving across the region over these last 10 years. And just as we enter into those stories and think about and build the Summer of Assemblies and the work that we're doing, building into SMA 10 in September, we really want to think about what does it look like for the next 10 years? What are we, as we celebrate this accomplishment of 10 years of building this Southern Movement Assembly as a vehicle and strategy for movement governance in a time of multiple crises, definitely take a moment to imagine what we can build over the next 10, what we need this Southern Freedom Movement to look like in 2032. Proud to be here and proud to turn it over to Ariana. Looking forward to next month where we'll go even deeper into the history.
Thank you, Steph, for that great history timeline into what the SMA movement is and how we were formed. I really enjoyed that good video, and hopefully you all have had time and space to imagine your past, how you got into the movement. Hopefully you saw yourself in that video or in some of those moments that Steph brought up. You recognized those and thought about what you were doing around that time. So now we are going to go into a group activity. And this is the start of this journey as we start to tell our story and collect our collective history as a part of the Southern Freedom Movement. We want to get you all stories and give you space to share your stories. We've heard a lot about the SMA story, but we want to give you guys time to share with one another. What are your origin stories? How have you gotten introduced to the SMA? And what are some of the other movements and things that you've been a part of in the South? So we are going to break into small groups. And in these groups, we want you guys to share your story. So share a brief origin story about your organization, the highlights from your organization, the community, and the work that you've been doing. Tell the story of how you or your organization became active with the SMA, and then any other significant or notable moments that you think have shaped the movement over the past decade. That's going to be the conversation. That's what you're going to be sharing with each other. So when you get into your breakout groups, the first thing you're going to do is delegate roles. Each person in your team is going to have a role. There's a facilitator. This person is going to be tasked with keeping your group on task, keeping track of time, and ensuring that everybody gets heard, everybody has a chance to tell their story. The historians, you may have 1 or 2 historians in your group. These are going to be the people who are tasked with listening intently for key dates and events and putting those onto our chronological timeline that we're going to create here together. Your synthesizers, you may have 1 or 2 synthesizers. These people are going to be listening for the key themes, common catalysts, and kind of the through lines that pull these stories together. And then you're going to have 1 person who's going to be your storyteller. This person is going to be tasked with creating a unique and creative way to tell your shared story back to the big group when we come back for report back. So we're going to break into groups. First thing you want to do is really quickly delegate who's going to play what role in your group. Then each person go around, share your story, again, your origins, the highlight, how you got introduced to the SMA and other significant moments over the past decade. And then really quickly at the end, after everybody's shared, so facilitator, make sure to leave a little brief room at the end, about 10 minutes, where you guys can come back together, clean up all the facts on your timeline, do some quick synthesis, and help to craft that story. So when you tell your story back, you can decide how you want to tell it. Is it a song? Is it a chant? Do you want to share a poem? Or maybe there's somebody who's good at visuals in your group, so you want to share back some type of visual or graphic. It's up to your group to decide, but again, make sure facilitator role is very important, that you're keeping up with the time. You're going to have about 25 minutes in these groups. So you want to make sure the first 15 minutes, everybody gets a chance to share their story. And then you're going to need a short 10 minutes at the end to do that crafting of that shared story that your storyteller is going to tell back to the group in your report back. So really quickly, I want to share for the people who will be the historians. We can show the Jamboard really quickly to orient anybody who may not be familiar with using Jamboard. This is the tool that we're going to be using to collect these stories and consolidate them into a timeline. Okay, can we share the Jamboard? Okay, so here's our Jamboard. Every page represents a different year. So whoever the historian is, you can click the drop down at the top and it'll show you the whole timeline and you just pick what year. And then on the side panel, yeah, up there. So boom, you can quickly go to whatever year you need to go to. And then once you get to the appropriate year, you can click on the side and add your post-it note and make sure you capture key things you want to make sure you get dates, people, events, and put them onto this timeline and try to capture that as you're hearing it from all of the people in your group. So that's going to be the historian who's going to be responsible. So that make sure it's somebody who's good with using the Jamboard. Maybe you're a tech savvy person who's going to be the person who you want to be the historian. And that being said, if we can go ahead and we're just going to randomly break you into small groups. And we'll leave it to y'all, and we'll look forward to hearing the stories that come back out.
Excellent. So I'm going to open up all the rooms here shortly. If you are requiring ASL or Spanish, ASL interpretation, please just keep your hand raised and we will make sure that you get in the main room.
Got a bad dog. Huh?
That is cold.
You ain't got
Alrighty, I am opening them now. you have troubles, feel free to come off mute and let us know and we'll get you there. And co-facilitators, I have not assigned you a room yet. So once everyone gets moved, I will go ahead and put you in those. So, Shafia, do you need some support getting in your room? Excellent. I'm just going to move you. Let's see. And okay, excellent. So mostly everyone is in their rooms. It doesn't look like we have any hand raised. So Ariana, I'm going to go ahead and put you into 5, if that's okay. Hey Meg, what room were you in? Or do you need support getting in a room? See, Meg got in. Awesome. Alrighty. Excellent. Steph, you need to be moved to a room. Let me see. I'm going to move you to 5 as well. Okay. And Nate, would you like to be moved to a room?
I'd like to use this time to set up for the rest of the thing.
Perfect. And Gula, did you get kicked out of your room? Hey, by the way.
Yeah, kind of, sorta. I was
Uh-oh.
had a problem. Yeah.
You
I
know
was in
what
4,
number
I
you
think.
were in?
4.
4. Okay, awesome. And hey,
Hey.
I missed you coming on early. So there we go. And let's see. Who else? Charles, did you get kicked out of your room?
Well, I just got on. I didn't get the
Oh.
email until like 20 minutes ago.
I'm so sorry, Charles. We had some technical issues with Zoom, but let me go ahead and put you into a room. We're just doing breakouts. Folks are going to kind of get to know each other for about 20 minutes and go over a couple of questions regarding when was your first time that you got involved in the Southern Freedom Movement. So that's what we're jumping into. You showed up right on time.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So wait, is this Southern Workers Assembly? I'm just SWA.
I'm sorry.
So wait, is this a SWA call, or I just want to make sure I'm on the right thing?
Yeah, this is the Southern Movement Assembly call, but we do know Sister Shafia. She's on the call, if that's how you heard about it from SWA.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, that is. Yeah, because I got an email. Okay, so I had mixed it up. I probably met y'all at the BFWJ banquet, or one of the folks. The Black Works for Justice had their banquet about a month or 2 ago in North Carolina. So I think I hooked up one of the I met one of y'all reps down there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that was probably Sister Shafia. So I'm so happy you were able to get on tonight and join us. I'm gonna put you in a breakout room if that's all right. That way you get to meet some other folks on the call too.
Oh, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. We'll see you back shortly. Okay, happy you're here. I add you the English group. Excellent. Alrighty, and interpretation crew, y'all doing okay? I'm gonna go ahead and pause our recording actually.
Raise your hand on your reaction to raise your hand.
Can you repeat? I'm sorry. Ariana, can you repeat the question, please? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
If you were designated to be the storyteller for your group, if you're gonna share back with us your shared story, If you can use your reactions down at the bottom and raise your hand. So it should be, I think, 2 or 3 other storytellers. If you are the storyteller, or if y'all didn't have time to make somebody the storyteller and you want to step up and tell your group's story, put your hand raised reaction up, please. You're missing a couple of people. If your group is not represented with a hand raise, do y'all see it? Do y'all see y'all's group represented? That's okay. If you didn't get to the collective story, if someone from your group like to volunteer just to give us a quick synthesis of some of the shared themes that came out of your story, the things that you were able to capture, or things that stood out for you, highlights that stood out for you. If you want to volunteer to be the storyteller for your group and your group is not already represented, can you use your reactions at the bottom and raise your hand like such?
Vaisha, you don't have your hand raised.
I put that you were the storyteller in the chat.
No, it's you. You were taking the notes. Please raise your hand.
I did the tech support. I did the
Yeah,
jam.
please read it. You have it with you, please.
Okay.
All right, Vahisha, you got tapped. Raise your hand. And then we need, like, I think there were 4 groups, so we're still missing somebody whose group is not represented with a storyteller. Or if you would just like to volunteer. Okay, great. Now looks like we got everybody. So let's just quickly, we'll start with you, George. You're the first person I see on my screen. And then y'all can just popcorn really quickly and tell us what came out. Tell us your shared story. Go ahead, George.
All right, so we really didn't get to it. Y'all gonna have to give me a big old break. I'm sure I'm in the oldest third of people on the call, so the 30% of us who are over 60. All right, so this is what's up. Our group included someone who was at the very first SMA in Loungstown, who's on the video and looks fabulous in this orangey yellow shirt, Miss Teresa Elamine, who lived in Durham for 12 years before going to Columbus. The other person in one of the other people in our group, Janae, lived in Durham. I went to college in Chapel Hill, which is kind of close. And we all shared a real affinity for the geographic locations where we are, including part of, I believe it was Alabama or Mississippi that Rita talked about. My apologies, Rita, if it wasn't correct. And we talked about our connections to Project South, how and when we all got connected, and the blessing that one of the people in our group, Miss Janae, was actually conceived at the same time Project South was founded and was born on some really awesome day that has to do with freedom and liberation. So that's great. And my roots came from fighting against status quo in a way that felt like it included everything. And one of the things Miss Teresa added was that she was part of SNCC. So her roots are genuine and deep. And Rita has been in the healing industry and as a nurse now, and continues to encourage us to take care of ourselves, be safe. Don't forget there's stuff out there we need to be taking care of right now. If I missed anything, y'all let me know, but that was my best.
That was our group. I'm just saying, shout out. I got to listen and absorb the elders, y'all, the folks who really know what's happening. But Lahisha, you ready to go?
I'm ready, since I have been.
George, whoever.
Oh, since by an elder, I was told to go. Y'all all witnessed that, right? I just want to, So I does what I am told by the goodness of those that have come before me. So in my group was me and Glory and Sita. And all of the stuff in the Jamboard is under 2016, but I need to move some of them around, some things that were dated 2012. But both Glory and Sita were there from the very beginning for SMA 1, and even found out this amazing story about how Sita provided the historical documentation support about why the SMA should be in Lowndes County. So even did like this one pager that described why this was a significant site and why this was important to do this work and be present on that particular land. And I thought that was really powerful. And apparently Sita is a retired,
teacher.
Yes, a retired history, specifically even like history teacher. And so one of the things that Glory brought up was that this was really helpful for her, not being from originally from the States. And so it was like, why are we going to this old random, what felt like a random place? And so that was really helpful for her. And then we talked about some of the shared themes. And I came in 2016, specifically the organizing intensive that was in Atlanta, and then the SMAs subsequently after that. And so then what we figured out was some of our shared themes were that we were all organizing around similar things. So whether it was voting rights or whether it was different ways of oppression and suppression, that's what drew us. And I was particularly looking to learn from folks who had been doing this. And a lot of my organizing was faith-based or faith-rooted. And I was trying to just organizing period by Southern folks and try to see what that felt like. And all of that happened. So all of our shared interests brought us into the same place. And now we all go together and we're family. That's all for us.
So hit it, George. We're going to have second George come up.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks y'all already for sharing those collective stories. I was in the group with Angela, April, and Gleed. And we were able to get some stories in. We were kind of limited on time, but it was interesting to hear the varying, I guess, degrees that we have all been organizing. I would say I'm the, I guess, newest one. It was great to hear their stories. So some, I guess, collective things, shared collective things that came up was 10 years ago, dealing with personal healing and with life, and with trying to learn and trying to find places to organize. Some other people were already doing organizing work. I would say another collective thing would be starting in the collegiate university space, really fighting for students, fighting for students to have community, and fighting for students to have funds. There's some defunding going on. And yeah, over the years, it seems like each of us have kind of found an organization to really give us a framework and a structure to really do some great work in. One person 10 years ago, very early on, or one person was fighting for around justice after the murder of Mike Brown, and doing some great work on that, and some really collective shared stories around really doing that ground up work, and really fighting for people on the ground. So yeah, from the time that we have, I would say that those were kind of collective things, and collective stories that we shared with each other.
Awesome. Thanks, George. Let's see, Sister Shafia, I'm gonna pass it over to you. What y'all get into?
Oh, whoops. Okay. How's everybody this evening? So in our group, we had Ariana and Marie Victoria and Steph and myself. And it was really interesting to have Sister Marie in because she gave an international perspective for the work that was happening in her observations. For three of us, the U.S. Social Forum way back in the day was really a touchstone for us, where groups came from all over the country, and it showed the breadth and just the life that was coming back into coming into the fight back. And so for three of us at least, it was a major piece. And it was interesting that for Marie, because she observed it from the perspective of, as she described it, civil society coming at the international level. The murders of Trayvon Martin was something that hit all four of us in different ways and was expressed in different ways. And that the need for a response and or seeing whether the movement could, come back with a rapid response to the acquittal of George Zimmerman seemed to was a touchstone as well for us. Steph comes out of Project South and she's already introduced herself, in the beginning of our call. Ariana was a student, and so she was coming through things from the angle of first New Orleans, and then having been raised in Mobile and then moved back. And for those of us who dealt with Katrina, of course, New Orleans and the Gulf were centerpiece. And so it was really interesting that all of us had some level of connection with the Gulf Coast, whether it was specific organizations with the Gulf Coast and Colette and everybody on climate change, or it was as a result of specifically of Katrina. But those things of Katrina, the Gulf Coast, New Orleans, and then Trayvon and folks getting killed were seemed to be like linchpins for all of us. And then we ran out of time. We didn't need any more time, so we could talk some more about where we were going. And so it was really interesting that to come from folks who were part of organizations already, or coming from an international piece, or coming from a student angle, that these pieces, these events that have impacted all of us across the South were touchstones for all of us. And I'll stop there. I hope I got it.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And thank y'all so much for sharing. Thank y'all. We stand on the shoulders of giants, those that have come before us, those we don't even know yet. So thank y'all so much for being a part of the Southern Freedom Movement and really finding the similarities of what ignited you to be here and to continue on. So thank y'all so much. Just super praise for that. Maybe we give just a little bit of emoji reaction or some love in the chat. Especially we got OGs in the space. Go ahead and throw out some flowers. Yes, let's just love on each other. Thank y'all so much. Excellent. So while you are loving on each other, I want you to go ahead and grab your phone and pull up your calendar, pull up your notebook, whatever you put down for important dates, go ahead and grab it. We're going to throw out some opportunities for y'all to plug in and engage. As y'all know, we are on the road to SMA 10, our big convening happening in September. So there are multiple ways for you to get involved and to continue to show up and invite your people into these spaces. So first things first, if you are not a member of the Southern Movement Assembly, go ahead and do that. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, but also check out our website and hit that Become a Member button. That's going to be southtosouth.org. And we're going to drop the link in the chat. That is a way that you can get any resources, any notes, especially the call from this evening. We will be sending that out to everyone that is in our email list. So please become a member today. Also, if you met some folks, it looks like y'all were able to connect, find some similarities across your work. Go ahead and continue your conversations on our Southern Movement Assembly Discord channel. Okay. Southern Movement Assembly Discord channel. So there's going to be a link in the chat. Thank you. Next, if you want to flex your skills, if there's something that really sparked your interest, you're like, oh, I want to hold a facilitation role for these calls. I want to throw down in the tech to help screen share or drop some things in the chat. Definitely become a member and sign up for one of our SMA teams. We have communications, we have member engagement, and we also have the SMA 10 team. So go ahead, fill out this quick form, real short, and get plugged in and flex your skills. Excellent. And so the next thing is that we have been really engaging with members all across the US and Global South who are going out in their communities and organizing a local people's movement assembly for the SMA Summer of Assemblies. If you are finding out a frontline issue that you want to connect with more people in your local area, you want to build some strategy around that, get that crew together. Go ahead and click that link, fill out the form, select your date, and organize a local people's movement assembly. Okay, we have lots of resources, the PMA toolkit, and some slides, just quick, easy 6 steps for you to engage in SMA 10 this year. Okay. Thank you, Nathan. Awesome. And then last but not least, I just want to go ahead and name out some important dates happening in August next month. We have been experiencing lots and lots of trauma. There's been so much happening. We've been getting hit left and right. If you ever need a space to just connect, to breathe, to just relax and love on yourself and others, please participate in our monthly healing calls. Our next one is going to be August 10th, and that is every second Wednesday of the month, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central. Another date to remember is that part 2. Some of y'all mentioned that you didn't have enough time in your breakout rooms. You wanted to connect more. You wanted to hear more about the Southern Movement Assembly and how folks plugged in. Well, feel free to go ahead and register for the second series. It's going to be our part 2 on the SMA history, okay? Registration link is in the chat. Go ahead and click that. I like to do it right now so I don't have to worry about it next month when it comes up. So feel free, go ahead and have that down. And then also we're going to be having a virtual assembly. This is going to be August 27th. We mentioned that we're doing SMA 10 a little bit different this year, okay? We're going to be pulling in 2 to 3 delegates from the Summer of Assemblies. So we want to have a space for those that cannot make it in person to gather with us, to learn what people are working on, and to also be able to plug in to what our action plan will be for next year. So go ahead and save the date, August 27th. It's going to be our virtual assembly, August 27th. And then the big one, which y'all should know, SMA 10, September 9th through the 11th. You're going to be getting invitations, especially once you organize your local PMA. You're going to get some invitations into how to get involved on September 9th through the 11th. So I hope that wasn't too much. Like I said, become a member so you can get all of this captured in some notes so that you can have it all in your email so you can revisit it. So thank y'all so much. Just super proud of our interpretation crew with Kakoa, our tech crew, and our amazing facilitators, but most importantly, all of you as our SMA family. We can't wait to be back in space with you again. Thank you and have a great night.
Night.
Good night, bye, Nita.
Bye, bye, Anna.
Bye, y'all. We'll see you next
Bye,
time.
y'all. See you next